On record for our first regular review in this matter. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Tice, lawyer guardian at Litem.
Dr. Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Gavinsky.
Karen Sminsky, foster worker for Illinois DHS.
With a C, right?
Yes.
Got it. I think I got everything else. You got it? You already spelled.
I got it on the docket. Perfect.
Michael McFarland, representing father. Please introduce yourself.
Father Wesley Piper.
Mother Emily Gerber.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here on behalf of Mother Emily Gerber.
All right, Ms. Heiss, I look forward to your report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I visited with the child in person, and the friends of the family who are taking care of this child have a very child-centered home, and he is very bonded there, and all the developmentally appropriate toys and activities for him. He has a daycare that he enjoys a lot. He's made available for visits with his parents, and he's doing well. So I recommend continuing the placement. I believe it's in his best interest, pending parents complying with services and benefiting from services.
Great. All right, witness testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Judge. If Ms. Emily Gerber can please be sworn in.
Ms. Gerber, come on up to her witness. Here she is. Go right ahead, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Gerber. How would you like me to address you? Emily, preferable, Mrs. Piper, Ms. Gerber, which do you prefer?
Oh, I don't mind.
Okay, so I'll refer you as Emily. Okay. Emily, I'm just, I know this is not normal. Normally, I don't know how often you get to testify, but I'm just wondering how you feel things have been going since we were here last in early March.
Me personally, I'm not happy with myself and my services. Okay. I have not engaged in my services as much as I should be.
Okay. Did you read the court report?
Vaguely, I read over it, but not read it.
Okay. One of the things that is included is the Dawn Farms intake and discharge paperwork. Is there anything that you would like to address about that point?
I jumped into Dawn Farms kind of assuming that I could be there for maybe like a month or two, you know, get some clean time in, try to get myself better and come back and get into my services. I didn't really realize that it was like a 3 to 4 month traditional program, because the last time that I went into there, I really wasn't, you know, too informed with it. So I feel bad that I went out there and, you know, I did go out there for a day and then I came back and I stayed good for about a week. And I wanted to get into services again and find a better facility that I can go for a short term. I don't want to go for a long term that could, you know, kind of delay my services, if that makes any sense.
And well, there's also a letter from Catholic Charities. Were you able to ever, sounds like from Catholic Charities, that you might have reached out for the initial assessment that led to Dawn Farms, then you came back. Did you ever re-engage, or have you re-engaged in the last week with Catholic Charities at all?
I won't lie, I haven't. And I'm actually trying to look into, I think it's called Parkside Pathways or one of those two. I'm trying to get into something that's more of like focusing on my addiction rather than more of like, I need to work on my counseling. I do. I have a lot of barriers and a lot of things I need to work over, but I need something that's going to help me more into the beneficial of a drug addiction. And I feel like, and I've heard a lot of good things about Parkside Pathways, which one it is. And I've heard a lot of really good things about it, to where Karen's given me some really helpful information that I need to start getting services with that.
As far as employment, are you still doing the landscaping stuff, I believe?
Yeah, I actually got a job. When I got back from Dawn Farm, I got a job at 7-Eleven and I was working third shift. And just recently, I actually just quit because the third shift is just not working. I'm not waking up until, you know, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm losing most of my day and I can't really do my services if I'm sleeping. I need to find a job that's going to benefit Kyler to where I'm able to do my services and see him, and also to where I can work too. I just have to prioritize myself a lot better. It's something that I need to work on.
Okay, and there was a psychological that was scheduled this month, but it looks like in the report you did not go. Is that correct?
We were unable to go, as we informed our worker, as we were unable to go. And we've been waiting to try to see if we can get another evaluation, but we haven't heard any word back about it.
Okay. The report says that one is scheduled for August 19th, okay?
Oh, okay.
How is housing?
Our housing's good. We pay our rent. We're up to date on our rent.
Is there any barrier to helping Karen get or for you providing Karen with a copy of your budget or anything like that?
Yeah, I need to I send her some screenshots from our Venmo and Cash App payments, but I give her scrap receipts every time that we get them. I do have some that she doesn't have that I do need to get to her that I brought to court today.
Okay.
And I have check stubs from 7-Eleven that I do have for too.
Yes, but budgeting, like how you can manage the income that's coming in and then the bills you have to pay and making sure that there's sufficient income for you to provide for Kyler for reunification.
I'm sorry. Sorry,
That's okay. Is there any?
I'm sorry. I'm working on the budgeting. It's just something that I have to figure out. I don't know anything about budgeting. I won't lie to you. So I'm working on it and I'm trying to do my best with it. I just don't know exactly like what I'm supposed to do as far as budgeting. Like, I don't know what the court's looking at exactly from me as far as like, what am I supposed to prove for my budgeting and how can I prove that efficiently?
Well, and that was gonna be my question. Is there something that Ms. Kabinski can assist you with in that regard?
Well, yeah, we can talk about that. I don't mind.
Okay. How do you feel parenting time is going with your child?
It's going great. We come to the visits, we bring him snacks, we take him to the park. We do a lot of bonding things with Kyler that I wasn't able to do with my other children. There's a lot of things that I do with Kyler now that I didn't do with my other children.
You know that you're being screened, I think, at parenting times, but there's a lot of no-shows for LDC. Is there a barrier to getting to LDC?
What was it? I'm sorry.
There seems to be a lot of no-shows for your LDC drug screens. Is there a barrier to getting to those screens?
There's no real barrier, I won't lie. I just don't see the point in having me do urine screens and saliva screens. I've never denied a drug test. I'll do a drug test whenever they want me to. I just don't see the point in having me do 2 drug screens. I mean, I don't mind doing one or the other or both. I just don't see the point in having 2 different types of drug screens.
So if you understand that it's part of your court-ordered case service plan, is that something you're willing to re-engage with?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime Karen asks me for a drug screen, I always do one for her.
As far as your driver's license, have you had any progress in obtaining a valid driver's license?
I actually did just get the driver's test manual book so I can start reading that, and I got the sheet from the court downstairs about how much I owe the court to pay off my ticket so I can get going on that.
Okay. Is there anything that you feel could be done to continue to support you in this goal for unification?
Me personally, I just need to have a better support system.
And how do you think or look like for you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What would that look like for you? What does it mean to have a support? Yeah, what would that mean?
Well, so far I'm slowly making amends with my family, and they were a real big support system for me. Regardless if I've had any animosity towards them, they've always been that one, like those people that's been behind me. I have been changing some of my friends lately. I need to start getting into my services. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no real excuses. I just have to get into it. I kind of fell into a little bit of depression because My husband's doing so well, and I don't know why I can't do that. I mean, I can, I just, you know,
This might be a harder question to answer, but what do you think it's like for your child to be without you and waiting for you to engage in those services?
I don't like it. I don't like that my son is away from me.
Your
So
Honor,
is there anything-
objection, question is not responsive to the question. The question was not what she thinks, but what is Kyler feeling as he's waiting.
I understand how Kyler's feeling when he's waiting. I was in his position too.
So is there anything that we can do as a group, or any one of us or Karen can do to help you get re-engaged with these services?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't know, because I kind of got sprung on, I didn't expect this, like, to be put on the stand. But I don't know. I had to do it. I had to put my big girl panties on and do it. I can't just be a child anymore and think that this is my way or no way. It's hard. It's hard maintaining a business and having my child in foster care. It's a lot. It's a lot of stress.
Okay, Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
Ms. Berger?
Emily, is there anything that you feel like you are making good progress on?
I don't know, just my bond with Kyler, and that makes me feel bad to say, because I should have more to stand on.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add to your testimony today?
Not really much. I'm trying to get into services. I just need to find services that are more equipped to what I'm looking for.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for you, but some of the other attorneys might, okay?
Mr. McFarland?
None.
Ms. Heiss?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Berger. All right, your next witness, Ms. Thomas.
I'll call Mr. Wesley Piper, please.
Mr. Piper, come on up.
Good morning or afternoon, Mr. Piper. How would you like me to refer to you? Is Wesley okay, or do you prefer Mr. Piper?
That's fine, Wesley is fine.
Wesley, you heard the questions that I asked Emily, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me how you feel this reporting period has gone for you and your progress towards reunification with your child?
I think it's gone pretty good. I mean, other than just a couple services that we didn't do, like counseling. I mean, I don't really feel like I need counseling. I've done it before. Like, I don't know why I need counseling. I'm not doing anything wrong.
What is your understanding about why your child was removed from your care?
Can you repeat that?
What is your understanding about why your child was removed from your care?
Housing, roaches, supposedly drug use on one of us or two of us, whatever. Just having him in a stable home, I guess.
And do you feel like for yourself, you have the emotional and mental capacity to provide that stability for your child?
Yes.
Okay. So what prevented you from doing that?
Nothing.
Are you aware of your case service plan?
Yes, we were just in a bad situation at the time, and that's a place to live instead of on the street.
I can understand that. But I'm curious if you've gone over your case service plan that the court has ordered you into.
Yes,
Okay. And part of that was the psychological evaluation that you guys missed this month. What was the barrier to attending that?
we had a big job that we didn't want to miss out on, and so we let Karen know, and it got rescheduled.
So you are aware of the rescheduled date?
The 19th of, I heard the 19th. I mean, I can look back in the text.
It's August 19th, according to the court report. And then you are also, it looks like you're also missing drug screening at LDC. Is there a barrier to go with that?
There's no missing drug screens. I told Karen that I couldn't pee in front of them. I tried 3 times. And then she said, well, I can do the mouth swabs.
Okay. Okay. And that's where those come in. Got it. And then during this review period, it also looks like the DNA tests were confirmed for you and your child that you are biologically the father.
Yes.
Okay. With your current job, are you able to financially provide for your family and Kyler or your child?
Yes.
And are you providing any assistance to his caregivers right now?
Can you repeat that?
Are you providing any financial assistance to his caregivers right now?
I mean, we bought him toys, whatever snacks and food that we have. I mean, we let Sierra know that we have stuff for him if she needs it.
Okay. Have you been able to review this court report?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you think is inaccurate in it?
Not right off the hand.
And do you feel like you're progressing towards reunification with your child?
I think so.
All right. I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
Just so the court knows, what was the job that both of you had that took your time away so you couldn't take the psychological test?
I'd have to look back at what job it was, but it was like $400 job. I'm not gonna miss out on that.
And both of you did that job, is that correct?
Yes.
What happens if during the next scheduled psychological evaluation, another job comes up? What will happen?
I guess we're gonna have to schedule around it.
Schedule your work around it or schedule a test around it?
Schedule our work around it. I mean. if
And
it's
the reason
something
I'm
that-
asking is that I know you discussed this at the very beginning, but there's a limited time frame for you to complete this case service plan. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And if you have questions, it's better to give me a call or your worker a call when these questions or issues arise, rather than have them addressed in court. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything that we can help you do that you can see achieve? I mean, it seems like a pretty good report on you. You would agree, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do to help you achieve this faster or better?
I would say just like, the only thing I can think of is help getting my license back.
Okay, what's the barrier on your license?
I have to do like 3 months of AA. I have to get a psychological.
Psychological is required to get your driver's license back?
Yes,
Okay.
within 3 months. Like I have to report all that to the judge, not like one of these judges, like a state judge.
An administrative judge, just so through the Secretary of State, correct?
Yes,
Okay. You know that you can do AA? on the internet? Have you checked into that?
I didn't know I could do that.
Oh, have you asked? Because they offer those classes.
Nope, I didn't ask.
So besides the psychological and the zoo and the AA, anything else that you need for your license?
10 letters or from family member or close friends, like saying sobriety, stuff like that.
Have you started to solicit for those letters?
Not right at the moment. I've been trying to work and provide.
It sounds as though a possible barrier might be the allocation of your time. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I work from like when I wake up till I go to bed pretty much, unless I'm getting a visit.
You stole the question out of my mouth, because that's what I was going to ask you. It sounds like you're a hard worker, and how many hours you put in per day. Do you have any days off?
Every once in a while.
It's not a scheduled day off. Is that correct?
No.
Anything else you want to tell the court?
It's just I'm trying.
Good enough. I have no further questions. We'll see if anybody else does.
Ms. Berger?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
Just briefly, the DNA test came in showing that you are the biological father for this child. When this child was born, were you already married to his mother?
Yes.
Okay. Then another thing is this. If you need to do this psychological on August 19th, do you have transportation to get there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd either drive or I can get my mom to drive me. Yeah.
Do you usually drive, like to work and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So you need a ride to get there, and is there what do you use to keep that date so that you remember the date? Do you have a calendar on your phone or anything?
We have a whiteboard that we write on.
Okay. Is that a thing that you would write on the whiteboard so you can remember?
Yes.
Because you don't know what time to be where yet, right?
No.
Did you say you've gotten a text already about that date?
Oh, email, text.
Okay, so you have something you can look back
I'm
on.
not even sure if we got it yet. I'm just,
What is the best way to communicate with you? Email's best, text best, what?
probably text message.
So you did read this report about both you and Mrs. Piper's progress, right?
Yes.
So anything in there, her services that you need help with, or you think she needs help with?
I just really think that she needs to work on sobriety and going to counseling. And other than that, I mean, I think we're good parents. We show up when we're supposed to. We have a great bond with him. He smiles every time we walk up, and he gives me hugs, gives her hugs.
Do you think his needs are being met in his current placement?
I think they're being met.
All right, thank you. I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Just two questions, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
You want the court you have no objection to the court declaring that you're the legal father based upon the DNA test, correct?
Correct.
I know you don't want to get arrested when you're driving a car with no driver's license, correct?
Right.
You need assistance in finding alternate transportation so you don't have to worry about jail, you don't have to worry about additional fines and costs and get buried in the legal system where you can't get out. Would you like some way to help you get to these jobs?
Yeah.
Where do these jobs usually take place?
Everywhere around Lenawee.
Refresh my memory, you are a scrapper, is that correct?
Landscaper, scrapper. I mean,
You
just
did
a
the job by yourself or with anybody else?
What's that?
Does anybody else work with you?
Yeah, my wife.
She ever got a valid driver's license?
No. But like she said, she was working on getting it.
You both are, but neither one of you have it right now. So can you take delivery transportation or anything else to these jobs?
Well, usually it requires a trailer or,
Okay, I got you. I understand. No further questions.
Thank you for your testimony. We return your seat.
thank you.
Anyone else you'd like us to hear from? Ms. Thomas?
Tanner, I'll call Ms. Skibinski just to see if there's any updates or modifications to the court report.
All right, yeah, you're kind of cutting in and out today, so nice, if you could just try and go nice and slow, I think that helps.
Hey, Karen. As it relates to this court report, are there any, you drafted it, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you have continued to be the foster care worker during this review period?
yes.
Are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made to the court report or any of the attachments?
No updates.
Overall, how would you, I guess, describe the parents' level of compliance with and benefit from the case service plan other than what they've already testified to?
Other than what they've already testified to, I mean, it seems that they understand that they're not compliant in a lot of really big and important areas. I would say in totality of the case service plan, there's not compliance, like we have a lot of work to do.
Some of the things that the parents have mentioned, like mom about budgeting, and then dad kind of about his license, which the elements seem to sort of overlap with the case service plan on some level. Are those things that they've ever discussed with you?
Budgeting, no. The driver's license a little bit. I've told him what he needs to do, and he did. Wesley followed up with the Secretary of State. They have also told him what he needs to do, so it seems he has an understanding of that as he testified to. I can assist my best, but also it's something that he's going to have to take care of.
Sure. And do you feel like you guys have a good working relationship, you and the parents?
Yeah, they communicate with me regularly as I need it, or as if they need anything, they reach out to me.
As relates to parenting time, how is that currently going?
Parenting time is actually going very well. The parents do well in the visits. They always come prepared. Most of the time that they are on time, we've had a few instances where they're not on time, but we've talked it through. But overall, parenting time is going well.
What would you like to see in order to move towards unsupervised parenting time?
The parents are going to need to get into counseling and start addressing their mental health issues, as well as Emily needs to address her substance abuse issues.
And have you had a home visit to determine whether the current home environment is appropriate for the child?
I have visited the home one time. They just are renting a room in a house with many other people, and that home is not appropriate for reunification.
Okay. And parenting time could not take place there, is that correct?
No, it could not.
Is there anything you would like to give, any other information you'd like to give the court, maybe as it relates to the child or services that are pending for the parents?
As it relates to Kyler, he's doing very well in his placement.
Can we not use children's names?
Oh, sorry.
It's a bit late.
I know.
That's right. As it relates to the child, he's doing very well in his placement. He also does well at parenting time with his parents. He gets, as I said, very excited to see them. He does recognize them, and there is a clear bond. He's in daycare. He loves the daycare, and he loves the other kiddos there, so.
Okay. Well, with that, Judge, I have no further questions of Ms. Skibinski. And obviously when the other attorneys are able to question her, I would ask the court to accept the court report and its attachments.
Objections?
None.
No.
All right, thank you, it is received. Questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
You heard the parents, specifically father's barriers, correct?
Mhm.
Said yes.
Yes,
Is there anything else that you think that you can do to help him address the barriers that he disclosed?
I'm always willing to assist him. This is kind of the first time that I've heard him address any needs. Honestly, he regularly tells me he doesn't know what he needs to do, even though I've told him what he needs to do. So if he presents those needs to me, I'm more than happy to help.
So it seems as though him coming in to make an appointment is going to be a great deal of difficulty, especially since he shouldn't drive. Can he call you up and discuss what he described in court today?
Sure, if he wants to call me up, send me a text message, he knows how to reach me.
Sounds as though now that you've heard some of his barriers, you might be able to talk to him and maybe address some of those things. Say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further.
Ms. Heiss?
So the drug screening that you do is a mouth swab, is that right?
Correct.
And have they refused any of those?
No, they haven't.
So in addition to those tests, they were on random screens through LDC?
Yes, the color system at the LBC.
And did you tell anybody that they don't need to do the LDC, they could just do the swabs?
No, I have told them that they should do the random screens because it is random. When you're doing it at parenting time, you can anticipate that I'm going to drug screen you.
The court report shows the addiction that at least Ms. Gerber is experiencing, Mrs. Piper is experiencing. Through the court report, then we can assume Mr. Piper is aware.
I would assume he's aware. We've talked about it extensively every time we've met. And if he has read the court report, he would be aware.
Thank you. Let me look here, one more thing. Thank you, I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
My client has asked me to ask one more question.
Go ahead.
My understanding that the paternal grandmother visited quite frequently with the minor child for the court intervention, and now she's only had 2 visits, which doesn't seem like normalcy. How do we go about giving her more visits? Do you agree with that?
I agree with having her at visits. As I've explained to both of them, visiting, like parenting time, is for them to increase their bond with their child. So we can have grandma at some visits. We had 1 visit scheduled and then they canceled it, so we rescheduled. So they had the birthday party visit with grandma and then she was at the visit yesterday. But I'm okay with grandma coming to some visit, but not every visit.
Does she necessarily have to interrupt the parents' visits? Is there any way that she can just have a visit without interfering, taking up the parents' time?
We could explore it.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Anyone else have any further questions?
No.
Thank you for your testimony. We have been received. Any other witnesses today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
I have no witnesses today, thank you.
Well, comments in closing, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this stage, it still seems the parents are pretty contemplative in the phases of change here, and even with sobriety for mom. It is refreshing to see some parents consistent with parenting time and continuing that bond and having reports that the child recognizes the parents and is doing well with parenting time. We are going to ask for that continued 90-day review. We are open to that next review being a permanency planning hearing. one of the concerns we had when this case originally opened was paternity, even though there was a legal father through marriage. And within this family, we've had that issue before. So with the DNA being established, legal paternity being established with the marriage, I think that looking at permanency sooner than later is appropriate for this youth or this infant child, not a youth. And with that, we are still asking for parenting time to be supervised. There's, for mom, still no demonstration of sobriety, and both parents are lacking the ability to legally transport the child. The housing is not appropriate at this time. And I believe, if there's a willingness to expand parenting time from the parents, that's something the department would definitely look into as well. But with that, we are just asking for that 90-day date with supervised parenting time in place. Thank you.
Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. We too are asking for another review date. I think my client was fairly honest today with where she is in her services and where she feels she's able to go. So I'm hopeful that during this next review period, she is able to engage. She knows what she has to do. And at this point, we're just asking for time so she's able to do that. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
I think my client was able to express the barriers as he perceives them, and I would encourage him to reach out to the worker and discuss how maybe some of these barriers might be overcome, or how we can work around those. And I think communication is the first place to start. And I think he now knows that that's a good place for him to start. Thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
Your Honor, you can see through their testimony that they're able to say one thing while the other thing is true. And I can sit here and tell you I'm the Queen of England. I have all free speech rights. I can say that. And I'm not the Queen of England. I need these parents to know that they are failing the case service plan. I would like a 2-month review period because this March 5th was dispo. 2 months later is about now, 2 more months would be 4 months. And I need to tell them again at the 2-month mark, you're not making it. You're not safe for the child. No matter what you think, it's in front of you in black and white. You are required to go to drug screens. And I need to make sure they're aware. I have been with this family and this mom for 3 other children. She's not a newbie. And I think it's only fair to be very clear what's happening. And we would have then 4 months for them to make changes that we haven't made in probably 10 years, I'm roughly. So I'm asking you to help me make the parents aware, whether they want to believe it or not. I want to be sure that we did our part in making them aware of where they are in the progress. And I'm going to request at the 6-month mark that we start looking at permanence for this child. I've been through this rodeo a few times, and the children that I have to look at, and they don't get to go back to mom and dad. It's really, really difficult. The bond gets built through the case and then it gets broken after. And I don't think that's fair to the child. And I would ask for a 2-month review so that we can have 1 more 2-month review after that. Or 3 and 3 was fine too, but I'm going to ask for termination. At this point, that's where we're going. In my opinion, thank you.
Well, the court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review hearing. I do find our caseworker and also Ms. Heiss in compliance with their obligations. Thank you, ladies, for reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification. I think I've heard from the parents that they know what they need to do. They're doing their best to maintain employment and housing, but I think we know where the gaps are and what they need to do. Ms. Heiss is pushing because she wants to motivate you. She wants to see you get moving at things. I hope that you do as well. You know that I'm here. I'm here because I have to look out for the best interest of the child. And time moves a lot faster for little ones than it does for grown-ups. So with that in mind, I have looked at my calendar to see if I can join in that attempt to really keep things on track for you guys any sooner than we typically would. But given my calendar, I can give you a little bit of a shortened review period, but it will still be closer to 3 months than 2 months. And I hope that you're able to utilize that time to really tackle some of these things. I know that for example, we've heard several times today that the psychological evaluation is on the 19th, right? So how about we set the review hearing on the 20th, okay? And then you can try to just remember that your psychological is the day before your review, okay? So we'll come back on Tuesday, August 20th at 1:30 p.m. To have another look at the case. I think in the meantime, Ms. Kaminsky, you may want to have a talk with Mr. Piper specifically, I think, about what you're looking for him to tackle as far as the counseling and some of the mental health things. I know I read in the report some of the good ideas would be to figure out how to best support Emily when it comes to sobriety and be kind of a partner in that. But also, you've had a lot happen in your own life that you might need to talk about, and hopefully maybe even that person can help figure out how to navigate that driver's license situation, how to navigate asking for letters and what that looks like and how that conversation would go. So I think, think about that and try to find some opportunities for yourself to utilize that process. I know that that's part of your case services plan. So if you got to do it, you might as well figure out what you can use it for. Give it a try. In the meantime, that we have had an identification, a lot of the challenges that still are out there. The big one for me, I think the most obvious one is whoever's living in the household needs to submit to those background checks. And there were some concerns about some of the police calls and some things that came that involved some of those roommates. So that's just one of the major things that we heard about today that are barriers, but it's those things as well as some of the other things that were discussed around substances and employment challenges and services challenges that would require the court to rule that the child is in the safest and least restrictive environment and needs to remain there until our next review. So unless there's any questions, we'll see you August 20th at 1:30 p.m. For our second regular review.
Thank you.
For a review of the progress made by the parents in the last report period. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Kaminsky.
Karen Spinsky, foster care worker for Runway DHS.
Michael McFarland, representing the father, please introduce yourself.
Wesley,
Representing the father, please introduce yourself.
Wesley Piper, father.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here on behalf of Mother Emily Gerber.
Mother Emily Gerber.
Okay, welcome. Very good. Ms. Heiss, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I visited with the child who is placed with fictive kin, doing very well there, developmentally on target for the most part. He sleeps 11 hours a night straight through. That's a dream child. He went camping recently with the foster family, and they are meeting all of his needs in his placement. He is in daycare, so he's having socialization with other kids. He has pets and all the indicators of normalcy in that placement. Thank you.
Testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gerber, can you please be sworn in? Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Gerber. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, thank you. So just to kind of get into it, the last review period, were you able to review this court report?
Yes.
And was there any areas that you felt were inaccurate in the court report as relates to your progress in your case service plan?
No.
Okay. Generally speaking, there's some areas of concern in here. And so I just kind of want to go over those. The violation of civil or criminal laws, there is a statement in here that there were gift cards taken from 7-Eleven. Were you able to pay those back at this time?
No, it wasn't gift cards. I guess during my addiction, I was doing some stupid things at 7-Eleven, and I took some money that I shouldn't have, but I made some arrangements with them to pay it back, and it's going to be paid back by the end of the month.
Okay.
I didn't realize that the drugs that I was taking, the people that was giving it to me, they were lacing it, and it would explain a lot.
And you've made arrangements, I'm sorry, just to clarify, you made arrangements with 7-Eleven to repay them by the end of the month?
Yeah.
And have you started that repayment?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much have you paid towards the total?
I have so far 200 saved up, but I'm supposed to be paid all in one lump sum at the end of the month. They don't want payments like that.
Okay. And it's from your knowledge, is it accurate that if you do not pay them, they will ask to pursue charges?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. There's an instance in here where you did not make a dental appointment for your child, and looks like there were reminders in your apartment to do that. Is there a reason you were unable to attend?
I was in rehab. I'm pretty sure I was in rehab. I was in rehab June 13th.
Okay. The appointment was on June 12th.
Oh, okay. Well, I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering if there was a reason you were unable to attend. That way we know if there's areas that we can continue to support you in.
More than likely, there was probably a job, but there shouldn't have been a reason to miss a dental appointment like that, especially if it's his first one.
Okay. And your psychological was rescheduled for August 19th, which would have been yesterday. Did you attend that appointment?
Yes.
Okay. And you have been in foster care supported visitation, and it looks like things have been going really well with that program.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to share about that program?
No, not really. I really like the programs. I feel like they help. It's beneficial. They really give us some helpful advice and tips, some good hints. Like honestly, there's some things that I don't know and that I do lack knowledge of with raising a child that does come along that I can ask and help, get helpful advice.
Okay. And have you started services at Parkside Family Counseling for substance abuse?
No, not yet. I was supposed to go yesterday, but I was running late because of the evaluation. So I got an appointment with them coming up in a couple days. I just had to find a good time, which there shouldn't be a reason.
Has there been any changes to your housing since the last hearing?
We went and applied with housing help. I filled out the forms with my worker, Karen.
Okay.
And there's just no funding at the moment, but we're looking for places at the moment. That's what they want us to do, is to start looking.
Okay. And your proof of income, it looks like you've been providing that at least monthly?
Yes.
And it looks like you've started to work on budgeting with Ms. Gabinsky as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, she went over a budgeting sheet with us on things that we normally purchase, we normally buy, like gas, for instance. She had us put that into the monthly budget so that we can understand how much we're spending. And it did help.
Okay. And do you believe that you have sufficient income to meet your basic needs, including that of your child's?
Yes.
How do you feel parenting time is going?
I feel like it's going a lot better now I'm sober. I feel like I'm more attentive to Kyler, so I'm a little nervous being up here.
It's okay. It's okay.
I just feel like I'm actually there.
About how long have you been sober?
June 13th.
Okay. And so since you're discharged from, was it Harbor Light or?
Yeah, Harbor Light.
Okay. What programs or treatment have you engaged in to maintain your sobriety?
So I'm going through the MAP program through Harbor Light. It's through the Work at Health program. It's a certified doctor. It's over the phone, and they helped me with my detox, and I get prescribed Suboxone. So I take 2 8-milligram strips of Suboxone every day, and that helps with my sobriety. I'm not craving opioids. I'm not using, and I'm a lot happier.
Okay. Have you provided the prescription to Ms. Gabinsky?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is there a reason that you have not done or are you on colors at LDC?
Yeah, I was honestly having problems with the medication I was taking because the Suboxone is a known side effect of constipation. And I ended up going to the hospital 2 times because I was so backed up. And I just went this morning to LDC and dropped. Because now I'm finally like regulated back with the medication. It's like my body's finally like letting me go to the bathroom being on Suboxone.
And the home that you're currently living in, is there, from your understanding, still issues with the individuals residing in your home?
Yeah, they all currently got served eviction notices. Besides, my husband and I were up to date on our rent to where we didn't get served one. So within
Okay.
the next month, there should be an update.
Are there any other areas that you think that you could use support from the agency?
I just need to get into counseling. I feel like that's one of the things I'm lacking in. And then our housing, that's another thing that we're lacking in. Other than that, I feel like I've got the ball going on everything else. And maybe some NA meetings wouldn't hurt.
And do you know how to access those NA meetings?
Yeah, I've reached out on Facebook asking people if there were some locally. There's only one that's locally, but it's a couple miles away from me. But I also can look up online. There's an app, like an NA app.
Okay. In your opinion, what do you think is preventing you from being able to safely care for your child at this time?
Housing, mainly. I need to fix my past, my criminal activity. I need to fix all that. I'm not trying to be into that. You know, I'm not trying to be a criminal. And then being sober and staying sober, that's the main thing. Because honestly, if I'm using, Kyler's losing. So if I'm sober, then he's winning. And I don't want him losing. Like I need to be a sober mom for him. That's one of the barriers. And that's one thing that's always been a battle for me for my whole life has been sobriety.
Okay. There's some concern noted about your relationship dynamic with your spouse. Have you guys engaged in any counseling to learn how to maybe communicate in a healthier manner together?
Well, Parkside does offer that, like marriage counseling.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say for the record?
I'm really trying to change. I wasn't trying to be a screw up. And now that I understand, like, I made some really like bad choices. Now I have some time to fix them and keep going on this right path that I'm on. I'm really proud of the progress that I've made so far.
All right. Well, with that, I have no further questions of you, but other attorneys may, okay?
Hey, Ms. Berger, any questions?
Emily, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
What are some things that you think are going well or some positives from this reporting period?
Well, so far parenting time, that's going really well. And then our parenting time with our orchards teacher, that's going really well. And then at the moment, my sobriety is going really well on my program that I'm on.
And what program are you on?
The MAP program that I was talking about.
Okay. And you're still employed?
Yeah, our employment's going pretty good too.
Okay. And do you have transportation?
Yeah, I need to get my license. I need to start that.
Right. And that's something you plan to do?
Well, yeah, I got to. Winter's coming up.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share with the court today?
Not at this time.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, but the other attorney might, okay? Or attorneys.
Mr. McFarland?
Are you aware that you can pick up a list of all the NAAA meetings at the probation department downstairs?
Yeah, that should have came to mind.
Okay, nothing further.
Ms. Heiss?
Thank you. I have no questions today.
All right, thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat. Your next witness, Ms. Temes?
Thank you, Honor. Mr. Piper can please be sworn in. Hi, Mr. Piper. You heard the questions that I asked of Ms. Gerber, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm just going to kind of go through your case service plan as well. But I'll first ask if there was anything in the court report that you would like to address.
I don't think so.
Okay. And so you and Ms. Gerber are still living together in the home that she just testified to?
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel your communication with Ms. Skavinsky is going?
I don't think it's going bad.
Okay. There's a note about a family team meeting that was missed and rescheduled or attempted to be rescheduled. Were there any issues on your end that prevented that from happening?
Work.
And were you able to communicate that with Ms. Skavinsky?
Yes.
And it looks like you also missed the dental appointment for your child. Was there a reason that you missed it?
I mean, I'm sure it had something to do with work.
Okay. And were you able to attend your psychological evaluation yesterday?
Yes.
How do you feel that parenting time is going from your perspective?
I think it's going really good.
There's a note about individual counseling. Do you, are you engaged in any counseling services at this time?
I tried to go through CMH and they said I didn't qualify. And I tried Catholic Charities and they said I didn't qualify. Like,
One of the notes.
I have no problem doing it.
I
don't know what to do.
Okay, and one of the notes in the report just indicates that you're unable to identify what exactly you need help with. Is that an accurate summation of sort of where you stand on the counseling?
I didn't hear what you said.
The report indicates that you're unable to identify what it is that you need help with in counseling. Do you believe that that's accurate?
Somewhat, yeah. But that's why we were gonna do the marriage, like partner counseling.
Okay. And that's something that you believe would take place with Ms. Gerber at Parkside?
I think so.
Okay. With your employment, how is it going? I know that you're self-employed. It looks like you've provided some proof of income. How is that going now since the report was submitted?
I don't think it's really changed. Maybe got a little better.
Okay. And you also went through the budget with Ms. Skavinsky?
I was kind of in and out. I was watching Kyler while they were talking about it.
Okay. Generally in your marriage, who manages the finances?
It's been starting to be me a little bit more, but it's kind of both of us during.
Okay. Do you feel that the income you have and the budget that you've reviewed is, I guess, demonstrates an ability to adequately provide for your family, including your child?
Yes.
Is there anything from the court report that you would like to address in addition to what we just went over, or anything else you'd like the court to know?
Just that I'm trying to get my boy back, trying to do right for him.
Okay. Okay. From the best of your knowledge, is Ms. Gerber maintaining her sobriety to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Were you aware that she was using before she became sober?
A little bit, but not always.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, with that, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Questions, Mr. McFarland?
I do. What were you going to see Catholic Charities and Community Mental Health as far as counseling or services? What were you seeking from it?
Well, when Emily was using, we'd kind of bicker back and forth because I wanted her to get clean. So along that kind of line, like just help with talking to her and stuff like that.
So now through Parkside, what is your goal of counseling? So everybody's kind of on the same page.
Just, I mean, we're a lot better off now, so I mean, just, I guess, talking, I don't really know.
Fair enough.
I'm nervous.
Have you been explained what your priorities should be as far as the case service plan?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
no.
Anything else you wanted to express to the court today?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Any questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
Does your job require you to drive?
Yes.
And you don't have a driver's license, right?
No, I'm working on that.
What are you doing to work on that?
Well, the blow test that Karen is doing, that should help.
With the Secretary of State?
Yeah.
Have you tried to get your driver's license back in the past?
No, because the court, they shredded all my papers when I completed it early. So I couldn't, you had to have all that stuff to get your license back.
Have you ever had a driving license suspended ticket?
Yeah.
What is
Oh,
your,
no, I haven't.
okay. Why is your license suspended?
DUIs?
Are you in any kind of treatment?
No.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
All right, thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat.
I
Did you have redirect or
do.
recess? Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
I have none.
Okay. All right, Mr. McFarland has no question for you. Go ahead.
Has anybody ever told you that to get your driver's license back, you have to swear that you haven't driven in 2 years or not consumed alcohol in 2 years before you've gotten it back? Has anybody ever told you that's how these hearings work?
No.
Okay, nothing further.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. May you return to your seat. Okay, anyone else who'd like us to hear from Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kabinski can please be sworn in.
Let's come on forward.
Thank you. Ms. Kabinski, did you prepare the court report that is before us today?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, are there any updates that need to be made to the court report or any of its attachments?
The updates I would have, like they had mentioned, we did their psych evals yesterday. I transported them up to Hillsdale, so we got those done. Emily went to LDC this morning. That was the first time since March that she had been there. So she went and did a drug screen there this morning. So those are the only updates I have off the top of my head.
And generally, how would you describe, I mean, I know we went through this with the parents, but how would you describe the parents' level of compliance with and benefit from their case service plan?
There's areas they're doing okay, and like they do really well in parenting time. Emily did complete treatment at Harbor Light and she's maintained her sobriety so far, but there are still a lot of areas of concern that we need to work on.
And your recommendation for today is to continue supervised parenting time. What risks do you see for the parents to expand into unsupervised parenting time?
I mean, at this time, I would like to see Emily maintain her sobriety much longer, as well as just to monitor that they're still doing well in parenting time.
If the court grants unsupervised parenting time, where do they have a home that it would be appropriate for the child to go to for parenting time?
Honestly, I don't know. We've done one visit at Wesley's mom's house and that was appropriate, but they do not have their own home that would be appropriate to do visits at.
And transportation, is that something that the department would have to continue to provide?
Yes, for Kyler.
And are the parents coming prepared for parenting time with diapers, food, whatever his needs
Yes,
are?
they always do. They have everything
Wonderful.
that Kyler needs.
And generally, what would you say the risk of harm would be to return the child to their care and custody today?
Right now, the housing is still an issue. Emily and Wesley have not engaged in any mental health treatment, so that is an issue.
And some of the treatment goals may come out of the psychological. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
Okay. As far as the income and budgeting, do you believe that they earn a sufficient income to meet their needs and their child's needs?
I believe they earn a sufficient amount of income to meet their needs, yes.
Let's see. As this is a permanency planning hearing, I believe, or I'm not sure actually. If
It's
it is,
not. Next one.
it's
would
not.
be-
Okay. Okay.
I don't think so. I'll
Um,
double check.
Okay. And Ms. Skavinsky, while that's sort of happening in the background, has there been any significant change to even reconsider the goal of reunification at this point in time?
Since this was, I believe, not a permanency planning hearing, I did not think about considering a goal change, so.
Sure. And I'm just confirming that nothing significant has happened that would even make you want to bring that to the court's attention today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything from your court report or the attachments that you would really like to highlight for the court's attention?
Nothing to highlight, no.
Okay. And for the goals for the parents, it sounds like housing is one of the priorities and also mental health treatment.
Yes.
Okay. And you heard Ms. Gerber's testimony that it might be helpful to just get a little bit of additional support in reviewing possible NA meetings.
Yeah, I mean, we have talked about it a little bit in the past. She knows that there's groups at Parkside where she's considering doing her individual counseling at. So I
Okay.
can help her find somewhere else if she doesn't want to do the groups at Parkside.
And do you have any other concerns that you would like to bring to the court's attention or just highlight from your court report?
No.
Okay, thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions, and Ms. Skavinsky would move to admit the court report with its attachments.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They are received. Questions for this witness, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
As soon as the psychological report is received, would you share that with all counsel so we don't have to wait for the next report?
Sure. Yes.
And of course, the clients will also get a written copy.
Yep.
And my client did tell you he was trying to address his mental health and community mental health. Not accept him. He told you that?
He told me that Catholic Charities wouldn't accept him. I did not know about CMH.
Do you know why Catholic Charities wouldn't accept him? Did you follow through with that?
Yeah, I talked with the counselor there. She said that she couldn't even complete the assessment because she was feeling based on his self-report that he wasn't meeting criteria for anything. She couldn't give him a diagnosis that would allow for insurance to be billed. So he wasn't able to report any areas of need.
Presumably you will be checking with community mental health regarding the same, and if he needs to sign a waiver, you present that to him.
Yeah.
Have you considered maybe some type of mix of visitation where, well, let me come back to that. But do you test them for drug use before visits?
I test Emily, yes. Wesley does not appear to have a substance abuse issue, so I don't do him every single visit. I just do him sort of random.
So why couldn't they come together for visits, correct?
Yes, sorry.
So why couldn't you test mother, let them go out into the public, come back and test her again, and then see that she's clean? Why couldn't we start to some type of transition like that?
I think it's something I would like to think longer about and also wait for them to finish their parenting education with Sabrina, she is the coordinator for foster care support visitation, and see like maybe if she recommends that they could be unsupervised.
I see. Correct me if I'm wrong, but about the only really negative critique you have for the visits is that they're sometimes on their phones when they shouldn't be. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
So I guess if there's nothing negative at the visits, what is your true concern then?
I mean, I don't know.
Prioritization. Am I hearing you that housing is the priority, or maybe you can tell us what the priority is for father as far as meeting goals?
Yeah, housing is an ongoing issue as well as mental health treatment is something he needs to engage in.
I suppose psychological report would assist us with that in some methods, correct?
Correct.
Heard them testify that the other tenants are in the process of being evicted. Would that satisfy your housing requirements?
No, because I don't know who's being evicted. You don't, I guess you don't really know if these people actually leave. You don't know who's moving in after they leave. Like,
Well, you would check into that.
Right.
Is it the house itself or is it the individuals who's there with them? I mean, what is your concern with the housing?
it's the individuals who live in this house.
Fair enough. Do you like them to maybe present the names of individuals who may come in the future so you can do a background check and advise them if these are suitable or not?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess, do you think, well, no, it's perhaps somewhat speculative, but if the psychological report comes out, my client wants to go back to community mental health or Catholic Charities or Parkside, do you kind of assist them in that?
Yes, if he needs assistance.
Possibility he doesn't need mental health then, assistance.
I'm confused what you're asking.
Well, you said if he needs assistance.
I thought you meant like, does he need assistance making an appointment to schedule intake after his psychological comes back?
Well-
Yes, I can assist with that.
Apparently he tried 2 places and they rejected him, so I don't know, maybe if there's maybe some clarification from you as to what they're looking for or not.
I mean, if he reschedules with Catholic Charities, I would send them the psych eval.
Fair enough, okay. Nothing further.
Ms. Heck?
You testified that, Ms. Gerber completed treatment.
I may have misspoke. She went to treatment, but she was not discharged by staff there. She did just leave treatment.
And did you get a discharge summary from them?
I requested it and I did not get it. I just got the intake packet from them, but I talked to the nursing on the phone there.
And what did you learn from talking to the nursing?
They had told me that she had just left and she was going to seek outpatient treatment.
And that she had been in and out for a couple of days before that last day where she left.
Correct.
You have a copy of Ms. Gerber's prescription, correct?
Yes,
And you're assuming that she's refilled it since the copy of the prescription that you have was June 18th, right?
yes,
And it was for 30 days, so she must have more updated than that.
right.
Because if she doesn't, and she's testing positive, there'd be a problem.
I agree, yes.
So will you continue to get those updated prescription?
Yeah,
Could you also run a MAPS report on her to see that she's not getting prescriptions any other place?
sure.
On the screens for Mr. Piper, you're not testing for alcohol, correct?
No, but he's been blowing at the sheriff's department
For what purpose?
for alcohol.
For this case?
Yeah,
Where are those tests?
that, it's the very last letter on the case service plan.
Very last letter. Where's the results though?
I believe I put it in there, but I mean, he has blown 0 every single time, but
Okay. That might have been this one document that was sideways and kind of hard to read, but his alcohol screens are in this. Oh, I bet you, no, that's 7-11 page stubs. Anyway, you've monitored them and he's blowing 0s.
right.
And what is the pattern for when he's screening?
Well, you have to schedule with the sheriff's department. Doesn't seem like it's something you can drop in. So I have them going Mondays and Thursdays at 8 a.m.
So that's not random.
No.
And it isn't before visits.
Thursdays, it's like an hour and a half before visits, now 2 hours. And Mondays, no, because they used to have parenting time on Mondays when I had set up that schedule, but it seems Sabrina, who does the foster care support visitation, is doing Fridays now.
What I'm really worried about is you, Sabrina, other people telling the family things that aren't helping in this respect. Driver's license. Do you know what Wesley needs to have his driver's license reinstated?
He told me he went to the Secretary of State and he has to complete AA 90 days before he can reapply. So he would need to do AA, I guess. And then I think he has to have letters regarding his character and his sobriety, and maybe 3 of them. He needed to have the completion of his probation, the paperwork. He had thought the probation department shredded it. I was able to pull those records and provided them to him, so he does have records of the completion of his probation.
That's excellent, thank you. What about, you said that mother is sober. What is your definition of sober?
She's doing her prescribed opioid dependence medication right now.
So do you indicate to her that that's the same thing as being sober? Is that what you,
If a doctor is saying that is her sobriety, yes.
who says that that's sobriety?
Her doctor who's prescribing her opioid dependence medication.
Is that in one of our reports?
A little confused what you're asking.
In addition to not using the drug, isn't there treatment that's anticipated when you're on medication-assisted treatment?
Yes, like she meets with prescriber of this medication.
And also, so just not using the drug, that's healthy and clean. I'm really worried that you're passing this information to the family and that they won't know what's expected. Are you willing to check what the rehab needs are of this mom?
Yes.
Will you also look into medication-assisted treatment and the potential for abuse?
Yeah.
It looks like you had at least one screen where the buprenorphine was higher than cutoff limits.
Yeah, so I called because, I just didn't understand in general, like what the percentages were, and they told me anything less than 1,000 is a normal level. There was one where she was over 2,000 on that, and they said likely what happened is if I screened her right after she took it, the residue was still in her mouth because of how high it was. So going forward to have her rinse her mouth before she's doing the drug screen, I suppose we don't really know for sure by that drug screen specifically if she was abusing it or not, but.
Did you ask that doctor what levels you should be seeing for using the buprenorphine on label?
Her doctor, the LDC, sorry, forensic fluids.
Whoever you talked to
Yeah,
about that.
I talked to forensic fluids and they said anything under 1,000 is a pretty standard, like, prescription amount.
Okay. When the dentist appointment was missed, was she in treatment?
No.
So that was a June, she went to treatment, but she was not in treatment on the day of the dentist appointment.
No, she wasn't.
Any idea how we can support her? It sounds like she had a whiteboard with the appointment. She had a great big note with the appointment. You had been there the days before. What else can we do to help?
I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further, thanks.
Any redirect?
Yes. Ms. Kabinski, Mr. McFarland asked about any concerns to move to unsupervised parenting time, in which it seems that you struggle to have an answer, but I'm curious about that because the court report indicates that the parents have been offered additional parenting time and they have refused to do that. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Have they, and in your opinion, does that pose any risk to the child? I guess their unwillingness to or inability to expand parenting time?
Could you rephrase the question for me, maybe?
What concerns do you have about the parents not accepting additional parenting time?
That they just don't want to do it in general. Like they don't want to spend more time with their son.
Okay. Thank you. And are you continuing to offer that on a weekly basis, like an additional parenting time?
Yes.
And what is the reason that they provide as to why they cannot or will not engage in that additional parenting time?
Typically, it's because they tell me they need to work. Sometimes I don't get a response at all when I offer the visit, like nobody texts me back, so.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any recross?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. May I return to your seat? Thank you. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
I'd like to call my client, please.
Okay, Mr. Piper, come on back up.
I know you had a reaction and were indicating to me something when the worker just said that you were offered additional parenting time and turned it down. Is that true?
No,
Did you ever tell her that you could not take parenting time because you're working?
yes.
Oh, that's what she means by turning down parenting time, is that?
Oh, well, I meant, we told her that we couldn't do it because we were working. If
Okay.
you were working in a factory, well, I don't think they would just let you go off of work and go have a visit with your kid, right?
So it's not refusing, it's that you were occupied at a job, right?
Yeah,
Can you maybe let the court know what you were doing so the court knows that you really had to finish what you were doing? Let us know what you're doing.
I mean, it was like a landscaping job, I think it was.
Okay. Okay. And then you let her know that, correct?
I thought we did,
Okay. And
because usually like me and Emily talk and she usually texts her.
if you weren't working, would you accept additional parenting time?
Yes,
Okay. Is there any time that's better for you? Let's say rainy days, perhaps?
yes,
When it's dark, I presume you're not landscaping or scrapping at that time, right?
yes,
It gets dark earlier. And the other times when it's more convenient to parent, to have visits.
Yeah.
Any other times, I'm asking you?
Oh, any other time?
Yes.
Like weekends are pretty good, if you could somehow do a weekend.
Do you work every day or might you have a day off occasionally?
Yeah,
Is that you would have a day off occasionally?
yeah,
What do you think about letting your worker know when you have a day off so she can maybe attempt to do a parenting time? Would you be up to that?
yes.
Is there anything else that you disagreed with that she was saying up there that you wanted to address?
Yeah, because we took on extra hours on our visits and it was 2 of them and we had 2 4-hour visits.
Okay. And what context is that?
Well, she said that we've been denying extra parenting time.
Got you. And she offered you extra hours and you've taken those extra hours. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. And you will down the road if you're not working. Let me ask you, what happens if you just walk off a job that somebody's paying you for to have visits? What happens to you then?
You don't get paid?
Yeah. Are the requirements that you have a job and bring in money, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Nothing further.
Any questions for Mr. Piper from any of our other attorneys? No?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from, Mr. McFarland?
Oh, thank you.
Ms. Heiss?
No, thank you.
Rob, comments in closing, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's nice to see that there's been, I guess, some maintaining of status quo here, not a ton of negatives to report during this review period. I will say it is concerning. I understand that there's a struggle between having to maintain income and work and then also parents. And I think the main concern the department has seen is the lack of initiative to increase that bond by accepting parenting time, rearranging their schedule in order to do that. If a parent were working in a factory or somewhere else where there were set schedules, the agency would work around that. And I don't know if it's lack of communication with Ms. Skibinski in order to understand their scheduling limitations. But as a self-employed individual, it seems that there should be some wiggle room from the parents as well. With that, we have a mother who's new in sobriety and a father who really couldn't tell if his wife was using or not. And I think that those also pose a risk to the child during parenting time. It is a freshly stabilized situation. And I think that Ms. Heiss's questioning also might get to the point of perhaps there's still a lot of exploration that needs to be done around the term sobriety for mom at this time. So with that, Your Honor, we are asking the court continue supervised parenting time with the understanding that the agency or the department is offering extended parenting time. And I think that we have a lot of information to uncover from the psychological evaluations, which would have already been completed, but the parents did not show at the last scheduled appointment. So we are asking for that supervised parenting time and a 90-day review to also be set with a permanency planning hearing. Thank you.
Comments, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we would ask for another review period. I do think it is important to get that psychological back, and I'm glad that my client was able to complete that yesterday. I think we have had maybe a neutral reporting period. There are some things that my client is doing successfully that she is compliant with. We would just ask for more time to work those case services and for her to continue to progress, and hopefully we can move towards unsupervised visits. I know that my client would like more visits, and hopefully she's able to coordinate those with her schedule. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Well, the court heard my client attempted twice to engage in counseling and was turned down. We're hopeful that the psychological report, if submitted to a counselor, will assist them with what my client needs, because he does want to be reunited as a family unit. I understand the definition of refusal, but I think it's also intent, Your Honor. The intent is not just to say I don't want to visit, but if he's in the middle of a job and an opportunity comes up, he can't just drop everything. He makes a good explanation that if you're in a factory and you're given an opportunity, you wouldn't be able to just quit and just go and visit. But we have heard now there are times that are better than others for extra parenting time, and that when he's available, he will also positively reach out to let them know. I haven't heard where father's really a risk. I don't know why, at least some of his parenting time couldn't be taking the kids out of a sterile office in a park, in the sunshine, someplace other than that. It doesn't seem to be a risk of his parenting skills that I'm hearing of, Your Honor. So maybe some of his parenting time doesn't have to be together. It can be where he's able to go out and have the kids experience normalization, which is what we're trying to accomplish here. So I think he knows where he needs to go. The report asked for a 60-day review. I agree with the 90-day review, Your Honor.
Ms.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the person in this room that knows most about recovery is Ms. Gerber. She used to lead meetings, she used to open meetings, she used to make coffee at meetings, and she knows what I mean, that her medication-assisted treatment needs the therapy component. It needs the treatment component. And until we get her back in and doing that, we don't have a secure recovery. Abstinence, not taking away the drug is half of the battle. And we're there. So it's not a mystery what I'm talking about for the rest of her recovery. I would ask you to consider ordering her to at least, you know, you can do those online. You can do them in the community. She knows what those are like, and it was her best time when she used to do those things. I would ask you to consider that the child's needs are being met in his current placement, and that in this last review period, we had so much progress, and it isn't sufficient to consider the child safe. We've got a new police report. We've got leaving treatment early, but we're headed in the right direction, and that's a real victory. So I'd ask you to consider ordering some kind of compliance with AA and NA, because mom can do it and dad could go too. Mr. Piper probably could use that for his driver's license, which we all need him to have, so that he doesn't get arrested and set us back in this case. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing, which I think may possibly have been announced as also a permanency planning hearing for today, but that didn't make it in the last order. So that's okay. If we're early on, this is our second regular review in this case. There have been some efforts made by the parents in the last report period, and certainly plenty of reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification by Ms. Gibinsky. Thank you also to Ms. Heiss, who's certainly in compliance with her obligations as guardian ad litem. I too am familiar with the case and with history of Ms. Gerber and even of Mr. Piper, as he was ancillary to some of the other cases we had prior to today. You're just going to have to keep trying and working on a lot of the things that were talked about today. We're going to have our next review hearing on 11/12 at 10 a.m. In the meantime, the child will remain in his fictive kin placement. That is the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances. Both parents need to work on looking at a secure household for themselves and for their child. And Ms. Gerber needs to demonstrate further period of sobriety. I'm looking forward to Mr. Piper's psychological evaluation as well, to see if there are ways we can't support him in finding his way forward and in being able to create a stable and secure environment for himself and his family. And there are certainly some frustrations there. that continue to plague him, and hopefully some of those insights through the psychological will be able to show us where the problems are and how and whether they can be solved, if you will. So as they work on those items, the child is safest in the environment where he is currently. He's doing well there, and I look forward to the updates on all of the key services when we come back on November 12th, 2024 at 10 a.m. It's going to be up to Ms. Gerber whether she wants to show us her commitment to sobriety, and that's what we need to see, and she knows that too. So we'll see what happens. Good luck to you in the next report period. See you in November. I've got a copy of this court order for you. Permanency planning hearing. And the names of our participants, please.
Lee High School Guardian Ad Litem.
Sasha Thomas, counsel for the department.
Karen Sminsky, foster care worker for Illinois DHS.
Michael McFarland, representing father.
Father Wesley Piper.
Mother Maker.
Sorry, Alexis Stang, appearing on behalf of attorney Ariel Walker.
All right, welcome. Ms. Stang, could you confirm we've made a little time for you to talk with Ms. Gerber ahead of time?
Yes, that is accurate, and we are ready to proceed.
Thank you. We also had just a brief bench conference. I don't think we covered much outside of what would already be covered during today's review hearing, but any comments on that, counselors?
No, I think we were able to share information that came to nothing in the end anyway, so I don't think anything needs to be reported on the record for me.
I don't have anything to add, Your Honor.
I think Ms. Stang just wanted a moment to confer with her client in private, so that's all I have to add.
All right, Ms. Heiss.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, the really good, stable news is that the agency and the placement have provided everything that this child needs. I think he's blissfully unaware of the situation in his life. I think he thinks his parents add like frosting on the cake, and he has nice visits with his parents who bring what they need to visits. And however, when we take a step back and look at the progress of parents, the court report was talking about increasing visits to the extent that like not increasing the time, but increasing to unsupervised. And I just don't think we do experiments with children. I don't know how mom and dad would find a driver to pick the child up, take the child to visits, and return the child. And I don't think it would be appropriate in this case to have foster parents doing the transportation. There are times when we can ask foster parents to do that, but I think that would be inappropriate. The purpose of increasing to unsupervised visits would be to challenge the parents to find an appropriate transporter and to be there on time without all the extra supports. And I do think it's time to know whether these parents can do more of the load. Their housing is unstable, inappropriate. The psychological evaluations are still, that professional is still recommending structured and supervised visits, so that in the end, I don't recommend unsupervised visits. I know it would be a nice way to see the parents progress, but when I look at this little boy in his foster home, I don't know why we would build this bond at this time without more progress from the parents. This was going to be a very short case, a very quick turnaround. You know that we've dealt with these parents for many years, 5 or 6 years, and for them to progress this slowly in services, you know, mom knows sobriety when she sees it, and she's not doing it, and her drug tests are showing us that she's taking her prescription, but that's part of the part of the battle. That's not all of the battle. So I would ask you to consider not increasing the bond until we increase some of the other factors that reduce risk of harm to the child. And I have visited with him face-to-face in his foster care home in the last 10 days. Thank you.
Ms. Thomas.
Okay, I'll ask Ms. Gerber to be sworn in, please. Did you have an opportunity to read the court report for today's hearing?
Yes.
Was there
Can you
anything,
speak up just a bit for me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
and was there anything in there that you thought was inaccurate?
No.
Okay. So I'm just gonna walk through it with you real quick, okay? So there's the violation of civil or criminal ordinances laws. It looks like there's a bench warrant pending from 2020 that you informed Mrs. Gavinsky about. Is that accurate?
Yes, I have to pay that ticket and it'll be gone.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, I went online and looked up your name. Are you aware of any other outstanding warrants?
Not at the moment.
Okay. When is the last time that you had law involvement?
It's been a while. I mean, I've had tickets in the past, but I've never really been in trouble, like had a charge.
Okay.
For a couple years.
Okay. Was last time you were pulled over in 2023?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any tickets or any warrants related to that at all that you're aware of?
I know I had a ticket and I do have to pay that too.
Okay. Okay. And then the report still indicates the issue, and I know we talked about this last review hearing, the $600 from 7-Eleven.
I'm still trying to take care of that.
Okay.
I've just had a lot of financial burdens happen the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
And I'm really not trying to like prolong it.
Okay.
I want to off my back.
Let's see. There's some concern about the communication style between you and Mr. Piper. Is that something you guys are working on in treatment or anything like that?
Yeah, we're going to Parkside, but we're supposed to have our first session last Thursday, but Debbie's daughter was in the hospital. So now this Thursday at 2:00 is our first session together.
Okay. And just for the record, can you let us know what services you're getting from Parkside?
So far, I'm getting trauma therapy from Vicky. I'm getting recovery therapy, like recovery coaching from Debbie, and then I'm just getting regular therapy through Chris.
And Debbie is going to assist with couples therapy,
Yes,
but she's your recovery coach?
yes. She's licensed in both areas.
Okay. So she's doing your substance abuse treatment?
Yes. And then I also attend women's groups with Debbie on Fridays at 12:00.
And when did you start going to Parkside?
Just a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks before Halloween.
Okay, so like mid-October-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to go to Dimensions of Wellness like Wesley, but to be honest, it just seemed like it was a lot of work, like a lot of burden, and they only had one counselor that specialized in substance abuse as well. This place has more than one counselor that specializes, so just in case Debbie's not available, there's other therapists that are.
Okay. How do you feel parenting time is going?
I think it's going really well. I do agree with Ms. Keys that I do feel that there needs to be a little bit more supervised visitation before unsupervised can be looked at, just on my area aspect.
Can you explain that a little more to us?
Just because I've had a really long lengthy history with CPS and a lot of like deceitfulness in my past, where I do think that I have a lot of proving to do before we can really explore that option.
Okay. You completed the supportive visitation program, which had an element of parent education, correct? Okay. Do you feel that you still need any more parent education?
I don't feel that it wouldn't hurt. I do feel that there are areas that I am lacking in.
Okay. So you would like more parent ed?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I also seen that there was a recommendation in the court for a psychologist. And it's a good thing that I'm talking with Parkside because they gave me 2 references to 2 places that I could start looking into.
And I'm sorry, can you speak up just a little louder? Did you say based on the psychological, there were recommendations?
Yeah, I did notice that there were like recommendations for like a psychologist. So I wouldn't be opposed to looking into that. And Parkside gave me 2 references that are in town that I could start looking into.
Are you receiving any medication support or mental health support from CMH?
No,
Okay. Can you give us an update on housing?
the housing is we're still where we're at, but I'm working with Debbie because she does work with housing help. And I do have a couple more forms that I need to give her, but once I give her those, then we can give it to housing help and actually start that.
Speaking of your psychological, is that something you were able to review with Karen or anyone else?
No, just myself.
Do you know if your therapists have a copy?
I believe she does.
And when you say she, I know that you have a few service providers. Who would you be referring to?
Vicky.
Okay. One of the scales indicates a heightened, I mean, there's several heightened scales here, but one was indicative of an individual with low frustration and tendencies towards increasing levels of coercive behaviors. Do you feel like that is something that you experience in yourself?
Yes.
And is this something that you and Vicky are addressing in therapy?
Yes.
Okay. It looks like you're attending all parenting times, which is great. And are you having any troubles bringing any of the required materials that he needs?
No, there are times that I forget, like I'll forget to bring diapers that are at home, but there have been times that I've been sick at home.
Is there anything that you would like the court to know or anything else you want to address from the court report?
And I'm really trying to change this time. And I don't mean to drag my feet. It's just scary.
There's one other thing I just wanted to touch base on. Are you receiving Suboxone treatments?
Yeah.
And who is that from?
Work it out.
I'm sorry.
Work it. I'm sorry.
It's okay, give me a moment.
Work at Health.
Work at Health? Okay. Is there, to the best of your knowledge, is there any communication going on between Debbie, substance abuse provider, and the Work at Health treatment team?
I'm not sure. I did sign a release of information so that she's able to contact them. I just don't know the communication between them at this moment.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have no further questions of your of this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination or any questions for your client, Ms. Sting?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Gerber, do you intend to take care of that bench warrant and ticket from 2020?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
How much time do you think it will take you to pay that ticket and resolve the bench warrant?
I honestly just need a couple of days. I just had a lot of financial burdens just come up on me. Instead of taking care of the ticket, I took care of all those instead.
Okay. And in the court report, it indicated that there was a doctor appointment for Kyler on September 16th of this year that you did not attend. Do you recall that appointment?
Yes, and I believe the day of that appointment, actually, me and Wesley were not told of that appointment until a half hour before it was happening. I do remember telling Sierra about it, but I do recall that they forgot to let us know when it was. And we were in Saline at the time, so to drive all the way there and make it wouldn't have happened. I would have made it by the time they would have been walking out. The doctor there is normally pretty efficient. She's pretty fast and timely.
Okay. And you are still experiencing issues as far as stable transportation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that paying that ticket from 2020 to get your bench warrant taken care of will help resolve some of those transportation issues?
Yes, because when Wesley came up to the courthouse to help me pay on the ticket, they told us that that ticket was holding me back. If I paid that ticket, I would be able to get my permit back.
Okay.
Or at least, the process of it.
Okay. And then once you are able to get your license, do you have a vehicle that you will be able to rely on for transportation?
Yes, but I need to get it insured and plated and all of that. But for the moment, I do have transportation for Kyler. For the meantime, if unsupervised visitation was to be looked upon, I've already looked into people and they have already talked to me and they are willing to drive. They also have talked to Sierra. So we both know the drivers if that was to happen.
Okay. Did you communicate that information to the caseworker regarding the people or person that you would be able to have help you with transportation?
I did tell her about one person, but we were going to explore that more after the court hearing when we had our family team meeting. Normally after court hearings, we have a family team meeting with Karen. She's normally pretty good about getting those in.
Okay. Has the department offered you gas cards at any point to assist with transportation?
They normally offer us them, but we don't ask for them.
Okay. When they offer them, do you guys take them?
If they're only to far distant appointments.
Okay. And then, is it accurate to state that housing is something that you are still working on?
Yes, I'm definitely trying to get out of that house.
Okay. So you do have a house that you currently live in right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that it's stable housing?
I mean, it's stable for one person, but not for a family. No, it's not.
Okay. So you don't think it's appropriate or suitable then for your child?
No.
Okay. And then as far as income and employment, do you currently have employment?
I mean, yeah, I'm working with Wesley, but honestly, my intentions are going to Classic Omni on Wednesday from 10 to 2. They're having open interviews for second shift. That's 3 p.m. to 11, which is perfect for us. It accommodates visits, it accommodates normally appointments, and it's pretty good with our schedule.
Okay. And then once you go to that open interview, if you get employment, do you intend to communicate that to the caseworker?
Absolutely. I just wanted to get this ticket taken care of before I made all these steps. I don't want to commit myself to a job and then all of a sudden have legal problems and end up in jail, and that causes stress on the employer. I just, I gotta take care of this ticket before I make any big moves like that.
Okay. And then, as far as your substance recovery, do you feel that you are currently in recovery?
Now I am. Before, like a couple months ago, no, because I was just taking my medication, but now I think I am because I'm getting the counseling part of it. I just need the meeting part of it, which, like I said, I need to find a good ride because most of the meetings that I'm able to attend to are at night. And if I drive, I'm getting pulled over, more legal troubles happen. I'm trying to find a good ride to take me there, which I did talk to my counselor, Debbie, and she's willing to take me.
Okay. And then, have you ever talked to the department about possibly getting gas cards to attend some of those appointments?
No, we've only asked for a gas card to the psychological, but that was months back when it was scheduled. And that was the only time that, I think that time and the prior time before that, but we haven't asked for gas cards recently.
Okay. If you were able to get gas cards, would you utilize those to attend some NA or AA meetings?
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I just haven't asked the department for gas cards just because I feel like I can fund that at the moment. And if I really absolutely needed a gas card, then I would ask for it. But I just feel like that should be used for more, purposes.
Okay. And then
sorry, I was just saying at this moment, I can fund my own gas at the moment.
Okay. And then in the case service report, it states that you're non-compliant with completing those PBT breathalyzer tests prior to your scheduled parenting time. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, to be honest with you, we were doing the PBT testings, and then it became a hassle for us because we were barely getting time once we woke up to get all the way to Onstead for visits, to be able to drive legally. It just, to be honest with you, because some of the PBTs were on Thursdays. And then to be honest, not only with you, I didn't see a true point in it because I don't drink. I do see for my old man because he does have a past DUI, but I don't see for me personally because I don't drink.
Okay. So if you were able to do that testing somewhere closer to the visits, is that something that you would consider engaging in?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm just saying for me personally, I just didn't see a point in the PBT testing. And I felt that it was a waste of the department's money for paying for the PBT testings when we don't drink before visits.
Okay. If that's what it takes, if it takes getting those tests though, to be able to be compliant with the case service plan, is that something that you're willing to do?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want the court to know that you haven't already stated or been asked?
No.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Just a couple questions on the gas card situation. You would agree that if you got some gas cards, you'd be able to save up some more money to pay off on the bench warrant, maybe for housing, right?
Fair statement, yes.
Okay. If you get this job at Plastic Omnium, because you and father here cannot legally drive, how would you get to work?
I can walk. It's just down Beecher.
Fair enough.
And I also have a bike.
Okay. How much do you owe on the bench warrant?
I believe it's like maybe 200 and something.
How much time do you think you're gonna be able to get that around?
Truthfully, to be honest with you, maybe a couple days.
Okay. You need help to legally get to visitation, so neither you nor father are driving to Onstead.
It would help. I think that was his mom. She is pretty good about letting us stay the night.
Okay.
So it's not like a problem that we couldn't find a ride to get out there or her come and pick us up. It's not a problem with her. She's already volunteered to come and pick up Kyler for Thursday visits if the unsupervised wants to be explored.
Great. And how much do you owe to 7-Eleven?
And from what they're saying, 600.
Do you have a time frame in which you have to pay that?
They want it paid immediately.
That's what you did last time, I know.
I know, but realistically, I'm gonna need a little bit of time with them. And I do want to fight it because I don't feel that's right for them to charge me that much when I didn't do that much.
Are you working with the court system on that?
But I really should be. I've just been scared out of my boots. Because I don't want to like hurt something with the case, and I'm just trying to do my best. I'm just trying to get my life straight.
I guess what I'm asking is there is an agency, part of the prosecutor's office, that works on paying off things like this. Is this who you're going through?
I didn't know about that.
Okay. So on the 7-Eleven, is just the owner talking to you directly?
Well, to me and the Adrian detective or the Adrian police detective. Because the last one that we were talking to, he retired, so now there's a new one, and I haven't talked to this one.
I mean, there's a financial diversion program.
Basically,
Are you aware of that? Are you going through that?
I don't know.
Okay, maybe your worker can help you on that.
Yes,
Okay,
I need to talk with my worker more about that.
gotcha. Okay, nothing further.
Ms. Heisen?
Ms. Gerber, when you get your prescription drugs, are you getting a week at a time or a day at a time?
So I was getting a month at a time, but then I believe it was September I missed my appointment, and then October I missed my appointment. But I had enough because I've only been taking one a day to where I've been able to last. But lately they've been giving me 1 week bridge prescriptions until my appointment tomorrow morning at 8:20, so I can get back on to where I'm getting them monthly.
And is that in Saline that you have to go?
No, I do it over the phone and I pick them up at CVS here in Adrian.
Okay, are you prescribed how many a day
I'm prescribed 2 a day, but I only take 1 a day.
to make them last longer?
Well, then, to be honest, I wanted to try to cut back and try to wean myself off of them. Because I only wanted to be on the Suboxone to help me with my opioid addiction, because that's what it's meant for. It's meant to help the cravings and the curbs and all that after you get sober from the current opiates.
What do your doctors say about using THC with your prescription?
A lot of people do use it with their prescription.
Wait, have you talked to your doctor about it?
Yes, but like I said, a lot of other prescribers, like a lot of other patients do use marijuana.
What does your doctor say about it?
Nothing, to be honest.
So you told her that you're using THC with your prescription and your doctor's okay with that?
Yes, there are other patients like myself that use marijuana too.
So if we bring your doctor in, your doctor will say she agrees with you to do THC and your Suboxone.
Absolutely.
And when you see your son, do you agree with the early on assessment of his development?
Yes, I do. There are things that we are working with him on that I do agree with, like his speech, identifying things, drinking from cups, using silverware, drawing and coloring, getting on like bikes or seats, or getting off of them. Those are things that we're all learning, but we've only been to 1 session. We have another session tomorrow.
Okay. Since the last review, it's been about 3 months. Have you been to AA or NA?
I have not, but to be honest, like I said, I've been trying to find transportation, take me back and forth, and I finally did, which was my counselor, Debbie. Didn't think that she would, but I went ahead and asked her one day, and she said that she would.
We've talked about this at every review, that there's online meetings you could attend. Could those help you?
They could, but I do feel like in-person meetings, like how you and I are speaking, I feel like I get more out of it. Like over online, I don't feel like I get much out of it. Not only that, how am I supposed to get proof that I went to this meeting for the department and for the court?
Well, I think the proof would be when you show up here and we see you in recovery like we used to see when you were setting up meetings and you were chairing meetings. You were super healthy.
I understand that, but I'm like I said, I'm trying. I'm doing one thing at a time.
That sounds good. In this assessment, your psychological assessment, your scale, when they tested you, they found that you were really elevated in an area, double the area where it would suggest that you show low frustration tolerance.
I'm still trying to understand what that means, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you are familiar with that score from your court report?
I am, but I'm still trying to understand what what he means in the psychological. I'm slowly breaking it down bit by bit.
That's a really great answer. Thank you for paying attention to all that information in the court report. I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
Just a couple points of clarification. Ms. Gerber, are you aware that the 7-Eleven issue, that they've submitted those charges to the prosecuting attorney? You're gonna speak up.
I did not.
Okay, so you're not aware that a warrant was issued on October 23rd, 2024 for embezzlement? You keep saying, you've mentioned a few times during your testimony, you've had a lot of financial burdens in the last couple of weeks. So prior to the last couple of weeks, have you done anything to help yourself with budgeting and trying to figure out how to pay back fines or the outstanding amount from 7-Eleven? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. We're really trying to figure out where efforts for help need to be.
It's just a lot. I've been trying my best. And it's not like I haven't been trying. If I could show my emails of jobs I've applied to, apartments I've applied to.
That is information that you can share with Ms. Kaminsky. You know that, correct?
I'm just saying, like, it's just, I've been doing a lot.
And
And
you
I
men-
just, I feel like this job at Plastic Avenue would help my financial burden, at least some.
and you mentioned that, I'm trying to understand this. You get your Suboxone prescription by attending appointments on the phone,
Yeah,
but you've missed 2 months worth of appointments.
I'm sorry. One more.
So you attend your appointments for Suboxone on the phone, but you missed September and October's appointments?
Yes, and I was able to make my August supply last week.
Okay.
I was going a couple days without my prescription, as my drug tests have been shown.
I'm just wondering why you're missing phone appointments that do not require transportation.
I wasn't trying to miss those appointments. Either my phone was dead, or I was at a visit, or I just simply forgot because I have so much going on. I'm under a lot of pressure and I just have a lot, and I'm trying to take on a million things at once, and I don't realize that I just have to do everything one at a time.
Okay, and no further questions, Your Honor.
Any follow-up questions, Ms. Stain?
No, thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Just one. I believe the court report says that the agency would like a family team meeting for both my client and yours, which my client's agreeable, to go over the psychological evaluation. Is that something that you would do with my client?
Yeah.
Or separately, if that's what they want to?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing further.
Ms. Heiss?
Nothing.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Next witness, Ms. Thomas.
I'll call Mr. Piper briefly, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Piper?
Good morning, Mr. Piper. We'll try to make this brief. Did you have an opportunity to read the court report?
Yes,
And do you have any, are there any components in it that you do not agree with relating to you?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. It looks like you're in pretty much compliance with a big chunk of your case service plan. Do you feel that's accurate?
Yes, just one thing, I know Karen said that I need to get into like marriage or couples counseling, and I got that started, so just have to go to the first appointment.
Did you reviewed your, did you have a chance to review your psychological on your own?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you happen to know if your therapist has it?
I'm not sure if she does or not. I don't think so. I mean, I could send it to her.
Okay, the report says that Ms. Goodsey did email to you and your therapist, so I think she probably does, but just wanted
Okay.
to see if you were aware of that at all. Let's see, and so you are in individual therapy right now?
Yeah,
All right, do you think that you are consistent with your appointments?
I missed one because of a job, but I rescheduled that, and that reschedule was last Friday.
And housing, other than anything Ms. Gerber says, is there anything you'd like to say about housing?
No, just we need to get a different place.
I know that you do a lot of self-employment work with landscaping and I believe scrapping. Have you provided Ms. Kavinsky with any income proof of income for October?
I don't think we have, but we can get it.
Okay. At this point, do you feel that your self-employment work is sufficient to cover all of your bills and provide for your child?
Yeah,
Okay. And do you have any outstanding tickets that need to be paid?
no,
Right now, you do not have a license, is that correct?
yeah.
What needs to happen for you to get a license?
I need to do like AA, all that stuff. I think I explained last time in court what I had to do.
Did you do any of it during the last 3 months?
Well, I started the counseling, that's part of it. And then AA, I was gonna start up. There's like 10 different things you have to do, like, to have it, like, I have to have the list in front of me to,
Does it sound like having 90 meetings?
everything oh, sorry for interrupting.
That's okay.
I was just gonna say, everything has to be done within 3 months.
Right.
Of your, like, going to see the judge.
So in 3 months, you have to have 90 meetings, so 90, so one a day.
Yeah,
And then 3 letters from people regarding your sobriety and character.
I thought it was 10 letters, but
Have you went downstairs to talk with anyone about like having a list in front of you to see what you need?
well, I've been to DHS or wherever DHS is at that building.
Okay.
I've been there and went down and got the paper packet.
Oh, Secretary of State?
Yeah,
Okay. And then, is there anything else you want to add about the PBTs?
The PBTs, I just don't understand them. I'm not gonna drink and go visit my kid. Why would I do that? I don't understand. I mean, we proved for what, it was like at least a month and a half that we weren't doing it.
The report indicates that there were 2 tests on 9/9 and 9/23. Those are the only 2 tests that you've completed during this review period.
No, I'm saying like before that, we did like a month and a half worth of testing. How does that not prove that we're not drinking at visits?
Are you aware that you were court ordered into a case service plan?
Yes,
Okay. Now, are you aware of what your case service plan says?
yes,
So you're aware that a court-ordered case service plan indicates that prior to parenting time, you shall complete a PBT test 1 hour prior to scheduled parenting time and upon request at the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department.
yeah. But also, like driving up there, we don't have no licenses. What's the point of driving up there with no license just to do a PBT test?
With that, I have no further questions of Mr. Gerber.
Any questions, Ms. Stang?
No, thank you.
Mr. McBrown?
You and I have also discussed that part of that driver's license restoration hearing would be you have to testify under oath that you've not driven illegally within the last year, right?
Yes,
If I hear you correctly, you're saying you don't want to get in trouble driving to the sheriff department to take a PBT test. Am I correct there?
yes.
How far do you live from the sheriff department?
Like a mile and a half probably.
Okay, somebody may ask, why couldn't you ride a bike like mother or walk there to take a PBT test prior?
I can.
Would you have any objection to taking the test wherever you have the supervised visits? Would that be okay with you?
Yeah,
Are you asking the court to change the PBT test to have them available where you are visiting?
that's fine with me.
Is there a worker there when you visit or not?
Not at my mom's, but the other visits on Mondays, yeah. There's a work.
At your current job, you don't have any insurance for the kids, right?
I have insurance through Medicaid.
Okay. Some may ask, why don't you get a steady job like at Plastic Omnium where mom wants to apply, where you could walk there, you wouldn't have to worry about driving or take a bike, and you'd have constant employment and possibly more benefits. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is it's not a bad idea, but we were trying to get Emily's permit and take care of that bench warrant so we could keep doing what we're doing because we're making a lot of money.
You do realize that the worker needs some proof that you're making money.
I have proof.
I imagine some of these jobs are paid in cash and like that, right?
Yeah, most of them are paid on like Cash App, Venmo, or
Okay, so there's some type of proof of what you received that you could take a snapshot on your phone and just send it to her, text it to her, right?
Yeah.
Can you do that in the future?
I'll do that today.
Perfect, okay. Where do you think you need, well, you read in the case service plan that they want to have a family team meeting to discuss the psychological evaluation and the recommendation. Are you agreeable with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there some point on the case service plan that you think you need help with?
Just like getting my license back and the housing also.
Now your license back, you're kind of shot for at least a year of not having to drive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you tell me you have some type of meeting in housing today?
That's what Emily told me, that we had because when she,
Okay, so you don't know, it sounds like, right?
I know that we've turned in some paperwork for it.
Okay. Any questions or concerns that you have that you haven't expressed regarding your case service plan?
No.
What are your thoughts about supervised rather than unsupervised parenting time for you?
I don't think it would hurt. We already have one unsupervised. I don't see what another one would hurt.
Was that with just you or both of you?
Both of us.
When was that? Is that within this last reporting period?
We've been having those at my mom's house every Thursday.
Well, she's the supervisor because she's there, right?
Yeah.
Unsupervised, I mean, you going not with your mom, but going to a library or going to someplace public or private. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think you're ready for that?
Yeah,
Is that what you would like the court to give them the discretion to do, is to expand this into unsupervised for you?
I would like at least for them to try it out and see how we do.
What happens if they agree that you could have unsupervised, but mom needs supervised? Would you have visits by yourself if that were the case?
Yeah,
You know what your feelings were on that? I think we've covered everything that you want to express to the court.
yes,
Any questions or concerns that you haven't expressed?
no,
Nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Thomas, or I'm sorry, Ms. Ice?
In the course of the work that you do now, do you have a truck that you use
yeah,
and you drive that?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask my client to invoke his Fifth Amendment on whether he's driving legally or illegally.
Well, yeah, and it's a civil case and I'm gonna ask whether how he gets to.
It is, but it could be used against him criminally, Your Honor. So if I would at least tell him he has a right to invoke that, wishes not to incriminate himself criminally, because that's a question that's asked about criminality is what's being asked.
He has selectively invoked the Fifth Amendment. I think if he's gonna invoke the Fifth Amendment, we needed to know it. And now here we are with half of the information. I mean, I suppose it's obvious how everything's happening, but I think it's important for us to help parents see the disconnect between what they say they want and what is actually legally possible. And this question is intended to help bridge that gap.
All right, well, could I ask you to perhaps approach it a different way?
Sure, thank you, Your Honor. So without your driver's license, who takes you to visits in Onstead?
usually Emily would drive and,
Okay, but is the car registered to you?
yeah,
Is the truck registered?
yeah, well, it's in my name.
Okay, and it has current tags on it and all that kind of stuff?
No, Emily just said it didn't have insurance on it.
How do you think Kyler's doing in his current placement? Are his needs being met?
Yeah,
Okay, I have nothing further.
Ms. Thomas,
No further questions, Your Honor.
any recross?
No.
Thank you for your testimony. We return to your seat. Okay, any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
Briefly, Ms. Glinski to Lake Dr. Glinski.
Hello.
Just briefly, there's a court report you provided today, which includes its cover page, proof of service, the report, case service plans for the parent psyche evals, updated counseling report for Mr. Piper in September, early on reports for the child, the foster care visitation reports, and then forensic fluid screens for Ms. Gerber. Are there any other documents that have been circulated since you provided this report to the court and to the parties?
No.
Are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to the report or the documents included?
I do not believe so, no.
At this time, the report indicates that, well, let me just ask you to highlight, do you believe that there would still be a substantial risk of harm if the child were to be returned to parents' care and custody today?
Yes.
And briefly, what is that risk of harm?
It would be their emotional stability, housing, substance abuse continues to be an ongoing issue that needs to be addressed, conflict resolution, all of the same things that brought this child into care.
So it's your opinion that the conditions that cause a child to come into care have not been rectified?
Yes.
Okay. Your recommendation for the permanency planning component is still for reunification, is that correct?
Yes.
And you are also asking for visitation to be transitioned into unsupervised?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I would plan to have an FTM with Emily and Wesley where they would need to describe to me what unsupervised visitation is going to look like. I would like to challenge them to use their own natural supports to figure out transportation for their son. That transportation provider would need to be approved by the department. They need to have a valid driver's license. They would need to identify a consistent, safe place that they could visit their child unsupervised, and then they would need to keep up with the same skills that they already have during parenting time. They do well in their visits right now, so.
Are there any other services that can be offered to them at this point in time?
I mean, most recently, I have given a referral for a parent aid with Linda Edwards, so that's the newest service that they have, but I think they need to engage fully in the services that they already have been offered.
The report sort of makes it seem like a lot of progress or these sources really didn't start until October, the last, like maybe within the last month or so?
Mhm.
For the record, you gotta say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, is there anything regarding the child that you'd like to update the board on?
Nothing specific, no.
Okay, child's still doing well in the court replacement,
Yes, he's doing very well.
and you're requesting that placement to continue?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, with that, Your Honor, I have no further questions on Ms. Kaminsky and move to admit to the court report with its attachments.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They received cross-examination questions, Ms. Stang.
Yes, just briefly. On the case service report, you indicated that Emily Gerber was partial compliance under Section 5, and that specifically is with regards to not being under the influence of substances for parenting time with their child. Can you tell us why that's only partial compliance and not just compliant?
Yes, because Emily tests positive for THC and I always test her before parenting time.
Okay. Do you think that Emily appears to actually be high off of THC at the parenting time, or did her drug test show that she had taken THC at some point?
Yes, just that her drug test shows that she's taken THC.
Okay. Wouldn't you agree though that if the question is will not be under the influence of substances for parenting time with their child, and if she's not actively high, then she would be compliant?
If she wasn't actively high, I would agree with that.
Okay. And you just stated that she's not actively high when she's there for parenting time, correct?
She's testing positive. Some of the drug screens are very, very high in the THC section. So I would like to consult with forensic fluids to see if she is, like, if they would deem that high. for
Okay.
parenting time.
Okay. So you're not entirely sure then if she actually is actively high or not, and weren't sure when you filled out this case service report, correct?
I'm sure that she's testing positive for THC on her drug screens.
And then under the same Section 5, Part P, which is in regards to agreeing to address substance abuse history through services and will participate in scheduled and random drug screens. You also stated partial compliance for that one as well. Can you explain why that was only partial compliance?
Yes, because she's just barely begun exploring her substance abuse history with services.
Okay, so it wasn't actually in regards to the participating in scheduled and random drug screens then?
Correct.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland.
You would agree that on a supervised visit, that if a parent appeared to be inebriated with any controlled substance, that parenting time would be stopped, correct?
Correct.
That has not been done with mom or dad, correct?
Correct.
You heard dad indicate that he doesn't want to get a driving license suspended for having to take a PBT test at the sheriff department, correct? You heard him say that today.
That he doesn't want to get his license
He doesn't want to
suspended.
get, he doesn't want to be put in a situation where he has to drive to the sheriff department to take a PBT test because he doesn't want to be arrested. You heard him say that, correct?
I did hear him say that, yes.
You think maybe we might be setting him up to be arrested for possibly by having him do that at the sheriff department?
No.
Well, is there any way that we can have that done at the location or on his way to visit?
I don't know if there is a location in Onstead. It's something I could explore, but their visits start at 8:30 a.m. They can test 15 minutes before their call time, which is 8 a.m. So he could be there at 7:45, do his PBT, and then go to Onstead. It's only about a 20-minute drive out to his mom's house where the visit occurs. So he has plenty of time to walk over to the sheriff's office, do the PBT, and then go to his mom's.
How far is it from his house to the sheriff department?
He indicated about 1.5 miles.
Well, 2 miles an hour, that's half an hour there, half an hour back. That's an hour, right? That give him enough time?
I don't know how long he could ride a bike. I don't know how long it would take for him to get over to the sheriff's office walking.
Is there any way that we can have a PBT available prior to his visit at the visit site?
No, I don't have, the department doesn't have like a mobile PBT system.
Has he ever, well, I think you already answered that. He's not appeared to be under the influence of alcohol at any of these parenting times, or else his time would be stopped, right?
No, he hasn't appeared under the influence of alcohol.
So why is it still necessary for him to take a PBT if he's not appeared, not taking the PBT test, but he's not appeared to be under the influence of alcohol? Why is that a necessity?
I mean, he has a significant history of alcohol abuse that he has indicated that's led to multiple DUIs and probation for alcohol abuse, as well as his psychological evaluation indicated that he hasn't really fully addressed that history.
The visits are at the placement, correct?
No.
Where are they at?
They have visits in the community, a lot of places. We do the park. They just recently started at DHS with Linda Edwards. I think they've had maybe 2 now, and then the rest are at grandma's house, Wesley's mother's house.
Okay. And you trust that Linda Edwards would stop a visitation or not allow it if he were under the influence of alcohol, correct?
Yes,
And also his mother would also stop it if he was under the influence of alcohol, correct?
yes.
Since we're all on the same page that he's not supposed to drive, he can't drive. Is there any way the agency can assist him getting to his services and visits?
To his services, I can look into options. We have bus tokens at the department. I would encourage him to use his natural supports to get to services. For visits, I have offered to transport because I already transport their son to the visits. I've offered to pick them up along the way. So, but they have not taken me up on that.
Also, my client indicates his mother would be able to provide transportation on Thursdays. Is that something that is that what you're talking about, him stepping up?
For him or for the child?
For him to have visits, that she'd be able to take the child wherever.
I would explore it with her if that's something that she would be able to do and if she'd want to do.
How long are the visits?
Right now, they're 4 hours.
They're 8:30 at night, right?
No, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30
Oh,
p.m.
so that could be done at the public library here in Anchorage if she could come into town, right?
We've had visits at the library.
Okay, are there other places, public visits, that would be suitable for my client to have visits with the child?
Yes, but I would also like to challenge him to indicate what those places are where he could take his child and have an appropriate visit.
Otherwise, you'd like to challenge him. Are you saying as a worker, you won't assist him in finding its solutions?
I will, and I have.
Oh, I'm asking you, what have you suggested other than a library?
We've gone to the park. I've suggested his mother's that we've done, and it took a while for them to want to kind of ask her. It seemed like maybe they didn't want to, I don't know how to say, like, put the pressure on her, like, to be involved in this. So they just didn't want to be a burden to her for a while, but if they have ideas, I'm willing to explore those ideas with them.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that I'm kind of lost at ideas to recommend to him because I think you have policy after a certain date with the weather, park visits are out, correct?
Correct.
So other than the library and his mother's house, I don't know what's available. That's why I'm asking you what would be available.
I mean, we could explore a place, and if it would be willing to host them, I wouldn't pressure them into that. And
So do you think maybe at the family team meeting for the psychological evaluation review, you could also look into other places where they could have visits?
yes,
Nothing further.
That's nice. It looks like you had a family team meeting August 28th. Do you recall that?
yes,
Have we had another family team meeting since then?
No.
Would you be open to leaving the visits supervised until we have a family team meeting? And then if there is a plan, we could petition the court for unsupervised visits.
I'd be open to it, but I would also like to maybe just ask for it to be at the discretion of the department, and if the parents can't identify an appropriate place for parenting time, then we would remain supervised.
So what I'm worried about is the DHS policy that would default to unsupervised in the event that there isn't a problem in this review period. In addition, may I be invited to the FTM to organize this going forward if judge authorizes unsupervised visits?
Yes,
do you think if this child were to be returned after a visit with a bruise, a break, a bump, a scratch, a scrape, can we trust these parents to tell us what happened?
Your Honor, I think that sounds like a question for speculative question.
I agree.
Would you like to ask a different one? Or do you want her to expect, it's okay with me if she answers too. I mean, we need to know what's gonna happen.
Well, do you trust these parents to report accurately during an unsupervised visit?
I don't know. I have a good rapport with them. They've been pretty honest about very difficult subjects. I mean, even for example, Emily coming to me telling me that she has a bench warrant. I know that was not exciting news to share with me, so I don't know, so.
Do you think unsupervised would be together with both parents with Kyler? Sorry, Kate, Pete?
Yes, but I'm willing to explore either way.
Do you think that the father would discontinue a visit if he saw a mother do something inappropriate?
Once again, Your Honor, I am objecting as to speculation.
Okay, I'll ask it a different way. Do you think mom and dad have told the truth here today about everything? Let me ask you, do you think dad doesn't know that he's supposed to turn his income into you? Do you think that's news to him?
No, that's not news to him.
So him indicating today that he's certainly willing to do it, but he hasn't done it, is that true?
True.
So in a way, it feels like we're trying an experiment with the child by allowing unsupervised visits, and we'll see how it goes. Tell me that's not true, how that's not true.
I feel like there has not been, I know there has not been an issue that has occurred in parenting time to date. So that is what it is. Like, I have not observed any issues in their parenting skills.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
Okay. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Recross?
Just one, there's been no reported defects in their parenting skills from my client's mother who supervises or Linda Edwards who supervises either, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Staying, any questions?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Anyone else, Ms. Thomas? No, Your Honor. Ms. Stang?
No, thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Ms. Hess?
No, thank you.
Closing comments, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think this court is very aware of the facts of this matter. As Ms. Heiss indicated her report of the child, we knew very early on that this would be a quote unquote quick case. We've been under an order of, or the initial disposition happened in March 5th of 2024. So we are over that 6-month period that we assumed we would be at with this case. And I know that at this point in time, the agency is asking for continued goal of reunification and to even move towards unsupervised parenting time. I will honor their request and present that to the court with the, while acknowledging that what we heard today mimics a lot of what we've heard in the past. And it's not because I don't think that Mr. Piper or Ms. Gerber are trying, but it doesn't seem that it's resonating, that the wordings from this court are resonating, that the needs of the child are resonating, that the work that they need to do to reunify with the child is resonating. We've heard they simply just didn't think that they needed to take the PBTs, and so they just didn't. And then there's the excuses of, well, we don't want to transfer ourselves there because we don't have licenses, but we know that they're transferring themselves to do all this other side work, that they're quote unquote making sufficient money to pay their bills, yet they're not paying back, they're not able to make payments on the tickets that prevent Ms. Gerber from having her driver's permit. They sort of have this lackadaisical lifestyle where they can kind of come and go as they please with no work schedule, but neither of them can attend AA or NA every day. These are all really significant concerns for a family that's been part of our system for years. And frankly, we do have to look at the well-being of the child whose needs are being met in his current placement, who is doing really well. And I just ask the court to take all of its knowledge and considering how it decides to move forward. But if the court is going to extend to unsupervised parenting time, I would like the record to be very clear that the point is to challenge the parents, not to have more hand-holding from the department, not for the department to be the ones to develop ideas as to where parenting time is going to be. Reasonable efforts are simply ensuring that the parents have referrals where they need to go. It is on the parents to have a commensurate involvement in their case service plan and participate in that and make these decisions that benefit themselves and their child. And so I would ask the court to also make that very clear in whatever findings the court makes today. Thank you.
Your Honor, are we addressing a permanency planning hearing as well? Thank you.
Comments, Ms. Stang?
Yes, we would request the standard 90-day review and that the department or designee have the discretion to have supervised and or unsupervised visits for both parents, since they do have those visits together, obviously. And with regard to section S of the case service plan, which involves the requirement of the PBT testing for both parents 1 hour prior to that parenting time, we would request that that be removed from the case service plan requirements due to the undue burden placed on the parents with them not having the driver's license as testified today, and due to the testimony given by the worker for the department today that if the parents did seem to be impaired or intoxicated, those visits would be immediately stopped. We believe that it's just not necessary at this point, and it is causing, like I said, that undue burden on the parents to be in a predicament of either having to drive without a license or be in non-compliance with that aspect of their case service plan.
Mr. McFarland.
I would pick up in addition to that, worker testified she believed Linda Edwards and my client's mother would report and would immediately stop or prevent the parenting time by the parent tested positive or appeared to be under the influence of anything. I think maybe a better way, a preferred method would be a surprise PBT test on my client, where the driver comes out to my client's house and says, "Hey, we're blowing a PBT, Your Honor." That way he could demonstrate to everybody that he's not drinking. I mean, he's had both of them have a continued period of not appearing to be under the influence of anything at a visit. So we are also asking that that PBT prior to the visits be terminated. My client has no problem being randomly tested, Your Honor, which I think would more accurately reflect him being sober 24 hours anytime if he knew that was the case, Your Honor. In addition, mother seems to confide issues to the worker, and I think that's important. My client's going to be going over a psychological evaluation. I'm kind of out of ideas of where he can meet other than the library or his parents' home, so we would welcome any input from the workers where other parents are meeting, other ideas, whether than McDonald's or someplace like that. I don't know if a fast food is really a good place to meet, so I'm not sure what areas are really available. So we're kind of reaching out for suggestions on that, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've been really clear with the parents in these review periods, and so have they. They're not going to do your case service plan. They're going to do it their way. And although they do have some successes, they are not going to do what's needed to reduce the risk of harm. I would ask you to consider that they know that alcohol is a symptom of the disease. And even if you got rid of the alcohol, there's still the underlying issues that cause people to live in addiction. We're not asking that he abstains for an hour or two or four during visits. We're asking him to address his addiction issue. In the event that we have a family team meeting, I will make every effort to get to it and make sure that we don't just, Ms. Edwards is so accommodating. She'll do the transportation in a minute. And I do think that it's appropriate to have these parents step up and show us that they can parent. This is a permanency planning hearing, and I will indicate that the goal for this child should be adoption. I know that agency is not in alignment with that. I don't know if they maybe haven't been here for the last, in this case, obviously the agency has been here, but maybe not these exact workers, since 3 other children have gone through this process. The child has a good placement. I'm so encouraged to know that Mr. Piper's mother is able to help in this case plan, but it is not her duty. I would ask you to consider that my request is to move to an adoption as a goal, but also if you would make next review a permanency planning review again also. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review hearing, as well as permanency planning hearing. In the last report period, it does appear that some progress was made. Both parents attended their psychological evaluations and have very recently engaged in some services in anticipation of testimony today. Ms. Gerber has been taking her Suboxone and trying to make progress in different areas. Both parents really have. But I also think Ms. Heist is correct when she observes that this case was supposed to be one that had a shortened time frame for observation. And I would note also that this child has been removed since February 6th of 2024. So even though we are just slightly over 6 months for disposition, the practical fact remains that this child has been away from both of these parents since February of this year. So that's really we're over 9 months out of removal. As I look back on our report periods in deciding what direction this case should take, I obviously have to put the interest of the child at the forefront of any decision-making that I do. So as much as I love that the parents appear to be serious about trying to make some progress at this point, I have to also look at what's been happening, and I cannot ignore, frankly, the amount of time that the child has already been removed from the parents. At the time the child was removed, he spent quite a bit of time in the hospital because he was born positive for some significant substances. His recent early on testing indicates that he has some delays in language and communication, developmental delays. He's in the process of being tested for autism and is beginning to display some behaviors during daycare and during some other times that indicate that he is going to have some additional challenges beyond those that a normal child would have. He is doing well in the place where he's at. He's been there, frankly, since even before removal. I was confident in the choices actually that the parents made at the outset of this to allow this child to be placed with this set of foster parents, which I hope they're working on licensing. I didn't ask that question, but so be it, signaling from the bench right here that we need to be working with this family toward licensing. Because this child has been out of care since February. And we have some progress, but not nearly enough that we would be able to really look at reunification within the next 6 months even. We would need, if I look at a very reasonable estimation of time supplied by Dr. Haugen, he recommends in both parents' cases, and I think just in general, a good rule of thumb, frankly, especially in this case, given the history, that it's important, then I'm just quoting from the recommendations, it's important that he and she, because this isn't both, obtain and maintain housing, income, and develop a consistent and responsible lifestyle. This should be in existence for at least 6 to 9 months prior to reunification. So let's put this into context. This child was removed in February. The parents can't show us at this point in time that they have housing appropriate for the child, consistent and reliable income, especially when that's compromised by a number of court cases, and the ever oh, that's not the word I'm looking for. It's sort of like the fan in this room. It's always on. There's always a threat that at any point in time, either of these parents could be picked up for driving without a license and be set back even further with additional court fines, jail time, and other risks associated with driving without a license. And I understand that these are an overwhelming number of issues to ask the parents to address at the same time. I get that. But I have to look at what is in the best interest of their child. And asking this child to wait another, I don't know when we get to housing, income, and consistent responsible lifestyle and then wait 6 to 9 months. It's frankly unreasonable under the circumstances, especially given that this child is going to be a higher needs child, is already indicating some pretty significant things along those lines. And he's going to need that increased stability, that increased permanency. He's going to need to be able to rely on the structure of a home in order to be able to overcome or even accommodate some of those challenges. Now, does that have to be adoption? Maybe not. If we can, I would like to ask that a permanency planning hearing be conducted to look at not only adoption, but also juvenile guardianship. Again, this is especially a case where we have an example where a family should be working on licensing nearly right off the bat to make sure that that can be an option, because we would have under guardianship the requirement that this family be licensed, right? So that could potentially get in the way of a very reasonable outcome, given the parents' bond and demonstration that they're doing well during parenting time with this child. So please have a permanency planning hearing on what the goal should be moving forward. I did not hear enough, frankly, in this review and permanency planning hearing to really make a decision on what direction this should go. But I agree with Ms. Heiss that reunification is really not our best option. And frankly, I would expect that our caseworkers would really have an eye on where we are in a case. When I have a child that's been removed for 9 months and we have very little progress that's been made in some really significant areas, I'm not looking at expanding parenting time. I'm looking at what are we going to do with this child moving forward in cases like this one. I'll give you an example. So this was our third dispositional review. Our second review, we had many of all of the same issues. We needed both couples, both of the parents to engage in couples counseling, individual counseling. Mr. Piper had failed to qualify for counseling because he didn't think there was any issues, and that's reflected in the psychological evaluation here as well. They're starting to make some modicum of progress, but even into June of this past year and June of this year, we had Ms. Gerber struggling to get on firm ground with her recovery. It's not very long ago, and considering the fact that the child was removed again in February, I really need to look at the stability and permanency of this child as much as I want to root for these parents. So with that in mind, I'll be looking for an update on licensing and permanency planning for this child in the next report period. Also, given the buzz of risk associated with these parents being arrested at any point in time for driving around, I'm not authorizing an increase in parenting time to unsupervised visits. There's no chance that I'm going to allow these parents to try to transport this child and then we get a phone call that the child needs to be returned to the foster parents because we have a parent who's been arrested, either for a bench warrant or for simply just driving without insurance or driving without a license. And I can appreciate asking us to challenge them to find some legal transportation, but really in the scope of things, when I look at things from a wider perspective, that's not where I want their focus. I want their focus on establishing the foundational things that would result in reunification. And until we see some real strong indicators that that's happening, we're going to leave the bond formation where it's at, and I'm happy to continue to listen to more evidence on that piece as we move forward. But at this point in time, I'm not expanding to unsupervised visitation. I find reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification are being made in this case. That was demonstrated by Ms. Gavinsky's testimony, especially under cross-examination. We'll give you a nod for that. You did well. Thank you for your patience in answering so many of the questions. I think a lot of the casework gets taken for granted that we don't get to hear about or understand firsthand. And so that results sometimes in some questions that may seem impertinent, uncomfortable, or simply wild, I think, sometimes, frankly. But I've read your court report, I've listened to your testimony, and I do know that you are working very diligently to try to support the parents and the child in this case. As is Ms. Heiss. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. All right, I'm going to give you your next permanency planning hearing and review date, understanding that our goal will be in flux until that point. Essentially, I'm considering adoption, reunification, and juvenile guardianship. Not necessarily in that order. We have to cross out reunification first. Yes, Ms. Stain?
Address the request from me and Mr. McFarland regarding the PBT testing.
Okay. So let me just tell you this. And I appreciate that Mr. Piper was honest during his psychological evaluation. But what he disclosed in that, Ms. Stain, was that the last time he drank, he was a few days ago before his psychological evaluation, and he only had 4 to 5 years. And that he slowed down his drinking after he had his child and potentially after he had his 2 DUIs. So I do think that there is an alcohol issue here. So I'll make you a deal, Mr. Piper. If you are treating for, if you're going to counseling and you're going to SUD and you're being honest about your using and you're addressing that, then I don't think we need to enforce the PBTs. But until we have an actual substance-free household here, there's an issue, especially when we have 2 DUIs and a lot of other things that these parents need to be focusing on, like housing and income and employment, and taking a break to spend money on alcohol, frankly, in light of everything that's going on here, not the most responsible choice. So advocating to release him from that obligation, understanding that he is still using alcohol, doesn't necessarily bode well for your client, but balancing that with the idea that I want him to get into some services, I'll make you that deal.
And what about as to my client? My client is Emily Gerber.
She doesn't have to test for alcohol.
Okay.
That's never historically been an issue for her. Again, we have bigger fish to fry.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next review. We're looking at February. All right, how about 10:30 Monday, February 3rd? Work? Yes, sure. Okay, so we'll be back at 10:30 a.m. on February 3rd, 2025 for a review and permanency planning hearing. I got to be with you all. Good luck in the next report.
Should they wait or will the court email them and mail?
If you could give me just a few minutes, I'll have the order ready for you. You're welcome to wait in the hall.
Thank you.